Home. It's the place you know, the people you love. It belongs to you, and you belong to it in a way. One of the first questions people often ask is, where are you from? Everyone's life has a series of bright moments that offer something new. A new job, a new place, a new person. Perhaps the question should be, who is your home, not where? My grandparents are high school sweethearts and have been married for over 70 years. They rarely miss a class reunion for their high school, and my favorite holiday with them growing up was actually Memorial Day, not Christmas. Every Memorial Day, we got to drive to Lancaster and hear stories about where we had come from and relatives who had already passed on. For this, lesson number 1 that I've learned from my grandparents is always go back to your roots.
This was in our high school. We played on the basketball team, and I was one of the cheerleaders. And we got to see each other a lot at the games. Well, there was our class was having a party, and we were supposed to invite the first boy-girl party. And so I always liked the looks of Jim Starner. It seemed to be my favorite one in his class. And my mother said, well, ask Jim Starner. Oh no, he would never go with me. I'm down in the freshman class. He would never go. Well, you don't know till you ask him. So Mother encouraged me. She knew his mother and dad and everything. And she encouraged me to ask him. And he said, well, yes. But some of his classmates couldn't understand why he would go to a party with an underclassman that he went with me.
I just thought she was one of the most beautiful girls that I ever seen in the world.
Well, that was nice.
Outdoor enthusiast and filmmaker Warren Miller is famous for his tagline, "If you don't go this year, then you'll be 1 year older when you do." My grandparents really lived this out by their actions, and they never let anything stop them from trying new things. My papa was over 50 when he learned his favorite sport, snow skiing. My grandmother, now in her 90s, probably knows more about college basketball than a bunch of guys in a sports bar. My grandparents have always embraced the adventure, and they've taught me to do the same.
Yeah, we've had a lot of great times.
Yeah.
But our traveling was mostly due to Jim. He's a wonderful, wonderful driver. We've seen many cities where he would drive in and never back off for a minute. Of course, he had always looked at a map and studied a map and everything, and as we approached a big city, he knew exactly where he was going and everything. There would be so many, many places that I would never have seen, cities and the like, and downtown and everything, if it hadn't been for his ability.
Yeah.
He's a top driver. Go any place and do anything. His one regret was he had to leave Ohio State and leave the band and leave the Buckeyes. Oh, he came back from the war and went right back to Ohio State, but all the war things that he had seen and everything, he just wasn't suited to sit in a classroom. He just couldn't take it after a couple semesters, and he left Ohio State. We had a spot in the parking lot. We got there early one game, and we got this wonderful parking spot in this lot. And of course he was friendly with the parking attendants and everything, and he told them he came to every game, and he really liked that parking spot because at that time we had a van, and we always had a lot of friends that would come by the van and everything. And they said, well, if you're going to be here every game, how you like this parking spot, how would it be if we just saved this for you?
Growing up, I was lucky enough to take ski trips with my family, and there were several times where I got to ski with just my grandfather for the week. At the top of every run, be it an easy or a difficult one, Papa would look at me with that smile that reached all the way to his eyes and advise style and technique. My grandfather was a big advocate of both learning from the best and always trying your best. He always wanted to grow and put his own spin on things.
Received my draft notice immediately. Finished my last final at Ohio State in the fall quarter, December the 12th, 1943. And December 13th, 1943, I was inducted in the Army at Fort Hays in Columbus, Ohio.
Talked on the phone and everything, and then when the draft notice came, it was basically upsetting everyone because he had to leave college and go to war at 18.
And I was given a furlough, and it was about the first week in June, and I was home on furlough when D-Day happened. And when I reported back, I went into my first sergeant and told him who I was, and I said I wanted to volunteer for the paratroopers. And he said that the heat must have got me. He said, boy, he said, you sleep on that. He said, if you still want to join the paratroopers in the morning, he said, you come in and see me. So about 7 o'clock the next morning, I was right back in our company headquarters and told the first sergeant I wanted to join the paratroopers. And he said, boy, you are crazy.
In the afternoon, and it was around Thanksgiving, and he parked the car on the street in Lancaster, and we started to walk up his street, Main Street, to the movie, and there was a little store there on the way, and I had with a lot of jewelry and trinkets. It wasn't a jewelry store, it was just, they just had everything. And I said, I saw these pink pearls, and I couldn't, I just say, oh, those beautiful pearls, aren't they pretty, aren't they pretty? I really like those. And we went on to the movie, and it was Valentine's Day, and he came and he said he bought me a present. And when I opened the box, it was those pink pearls that we had seen in the store on the walk into the movie. He had gone back, and they were far from expensive because, as I said, he was at Ohio State and everything, but they've always been my very favorite. And now, 70-some years later, I still got them.
In skiing, there is something called the fall line. It is the point in your turn where your skis point straight down the hill on the steepest path. To become an expert skier, a person must become comfortable, confident, and in control of their skis and stick closer and closer to the fall line. My grandparents showed me that skiing the fall line, both literally on the mountain and figuratively during the difficulties and challenges that life throws at us, is the best way to live. Don't shy away from the hard things would be their advice to me.
I don't know when he learned to drive a truck or something, but he said, I'm going to get me a truck.
So what do you think about that? Did you think that was a good plan?
Not really. And, well, he seemed, in his trucking company, he became so well liked, and he enjoyed the trucking, and he enjoyed the company and everything. And then the opportunity came that the owner of the company, they're originally from Lancaster, he was having some thoughts about it, and Jim decided he would like to have the company. And so we talked, and we had lived here a couple of years, and he didn't seem to have any trouble getting financial assistance to buy the company. So everybody in Marietta seemed to treat us very, very nice.
And you guys have 2 kids, Jeff and Jill, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
That's
Boy and girl.
what kind of dad was Grandpa? Like, what kind of stuff did he like to do with them? He probably was on the road a lot.
Mainly go to sports games and everything.
Yeah.
Being in the trucking business, I will say he wasn't home as much as a lot of dads and everything, because he was busy making a success out of his trucking career, and those aren't the best hours the truckers have.
No, it's a hard life, and that's it's a lot on you. I'm sure you were, you know, with them on by yourself a lot.
Yes.
Yeah.
So, I mean, to sit down every evening for supper didn't happen.
Well, it couldn't because you had to work.
Because he was always on the road or doing something else, or helping somebody else who was in trouble or something like that. Since Jim was an only child, and of course I happen to be an only child too, and we were all concerned about his being a paratrooper. We thought that was more dangerous. Everything was dangerous in World War II. The whole war is in here. Private James Starter, Fort Benning, Georgia. Any letter you ever wrote me about that? I think I would put a match to it. But this is the whole time you were in service. He wrote a lot of letters, didn't he?
My grandfather often spoke of his faith and upbringing in the church, and one of his favorite things to share with us was his confirmation verse, Matthew 28:20. He said that this verse got him through so many hard times throughout his life, including when he was fighting overseas during World War II in the Battle of the Bulge. These were the words that were constantly on his lips, in his thoughts, and in his prayers. Now, I know not everybody lives by this, but for me, this, number 5, is the most important lesson of all. Has faith played a big role in your guys' relationship?
Very very much so. We went to Wednesday Communion for a couple of years until he could, and they always said the people of Wednesday Communion still miss us, and sending cards and everything, and we sure do miss you.
I don't know, it seems like everything it did was good.
anything you wanted to do. Right. Yeah.
Today, my home is with my husband and my kids. As a teacher, it is with my students. Yet there's a part of me that will always be home when I cross the bridge from West Virginia into Marietta, Ohio. I see Hermer Hill, overlooking the rivers and the town. I see the 3 houses right in a row on Bellevue Street. And I know that whether I'm there or here, with the lessons my grandparents have taught me, I will always be home.